Fred Wadnola.
Here.
David Gordon.
Here.
Charles Landy.
Here.
Jack Hayes.
Here.
Brian Devine.
Here.
Timothy Rose.
Here.
Kenneth Gilligan is here. Timothy DeGraff.
Here.
Charlie Whitaker.
Here.
Marilyn Ektar.
Here.
Thomas Briggs.
Here.
Alinda France.
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Public comment. Do we have anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment? No, okay. All right. Chairman's comments. Well, it's been a very busy month with all the public meetings and going on and the different phone calls that I'm sure many of the board members have received and so forth.
Emails.
And emails and so forth. So, want to thank everybody for putting all the extra time and effort into what's going on currently. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Executive Director, Communications and Announcements.
No communications, Chairman. Next regular scheduled board meeting is July 25th at 12 noon.
Okay.
And do we want to arrive at 11:45 so we can eat?
Yeah, I'd like to do the food, before we start the 12 o'clock meeting. This way, the food will be out of the way and your office staff can come in and partake and get the food and so forth instead of waiting till after our meeting and so forth. Matter of fact, I would even move it up to 11:30 if no one minds about the food. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so Melinda, we'll start next month. We'll do the food at 11:30. And this way everybody can come and they can get it while it's warm and they don't have to rush and wait till after the end of the meeting before they come in and get the food. All right? And then we'll have our meeting at 12 o'clock. Good. Okay, Executive Director, reports.
Yes, sir. Our target tons for the MSW was 11,548. We brought in 12,230 for a difference of 682 to the good. Our sludge target was 346. We brought in 375 for a difference of 29. And again, the number that's probably most important to you is if you look down at the bottom year to date, especially with the MSW, we're 3565 to the good. Okay, any questions on that? Typically, although I didn't delve into the numbers deeply here between C&D and MSW, because this includes C&D as well. But typically, when the amount of volume we bring into any type of garbage facility at all is an indicator of the economy, and it's always been said. We hear that a lot at these conferences that we attend. So when you see the tonnages go up, typically it's an indicator of an economy that may be getting stronger. People are buying new products, throwing out the old products. There's construction going on. People are remodeling homes and that sort of thing. So I don't know. I'm just speculating, but maybe this is a good time for the local economy. Any questions? Okay, recycling tonnage report. We compare it to May of last year. For the commingle, we brought in 46. This year we brought in 39 for a slight decrease. Glass, we brought in 20 last year. We actually went up to 41 this year. Mixed news, 92 last year, 84. That's roughly in the ballpark. Single stream last year we brought in 684. This year we brought in 575 for a slight decrease. OCC, which is your cardboard, was 129 last year and 121. That's virtually unchanged. And the food waste, last year we brought in 229, and this year we brought in 188, for a slight decrease. Any questions? The food waste, I was just talking about, I was at an environmental a green initiative this morning, a business initiative, this morning over at Best Western. We actually had a booth set up. Mike Hines spoke, the county exec, as well as legislator Amanda Joe Green, and there are a few other legislators there. But it was for green businesses and to recognize green businesses. And they asked us to set up a booth, which we did. Merlin and Melinda were there manning the booth and so forth. But why do I say that? Because I was talking to somebody about the food waste this morning. We were talking about compost. And they were asking how the food waste is. And I said, well, it sort of ebbs and flows. Sometimes we have a whole other apprentice of food waste, and next thing you know, they have different routes. So it's more beneficial for them to go to maybe do another composting facility, but then the routes change and then they come back. So it's constantly moving back and forth. So, do you have any questions on that?
Yeah, one question, how's our bagging machine for composting? What's the status of that?
Charlie and I were just talking about that. We need to go down and set up an appointment with a gentleman on Long Island who has what we believe to be the bagging machine that we want. There's a lot of different models out there and so forth. We've done some research on it, but the make and the model we want, this gentleman has down in Long Island. Charlie, we're going to set up an appointment with this gentleman to get out and look at it before we purchase it. I always like to look at the equipment before we purchase it, because there might be something in that equipment that I don't like. And I'm not saying for a brochure. And I also like to get real world experience from people that are actually operating, what they like about the equipment and what they don't. When we're spending this type of money, I don't want to make a mistake.
And it is a municipality that you're doing, so.
And it's another municipality, that's a good point. So we are going to set up an appointment again and visit with this gentleman. He's going to operate it for us and give us his take on it. They seem to like it, so I think.
Because Bill Rabia's bagging operation at Oneida Herkimer was so successful, have you touched base with him at all in reference to maybe he can make some recommendations?
Not in particular to the bagger machine. I do talk to Bill quite a bit because we're on the board of directors for the
Right.
New York Association of Solid Waste Managers, so we serve on the board together. And we do touch base back and forth quite a bit. We call each other on different issues, but I haven't talked to him specifically about the bagging machine. But I could.
I talked to Onondaga, and, they talked very good about this machine.
Yeah.
And he also sent some specs to me on the bagging machine, some things that you should look through, so I have that.
And Onondaga has a huge operation, that's where Syracuse is. So they have a huge operation.
So, a couple questions, Tim. How much is the machine?
Probably in the $50,000-$60,000 range.
50,000-60,000.
Yeah.
And will it require additional staff to run this? Is it, are we gonna have somebody pull somebody off to bag it?
We're going to have to shuffle people around, yes.
Mhm.
Now, the machine is being paid through by a grant. The agency's not going to be out any money on this through the grant that the county secured for us.
Mhm.
That's already done. Matter of fact, I talked to Amanda Laval from the county. I saw her today. We didn't talk about it today, but in the past week or so. She asked, have you guys purchased the machine yet? I said, no, we've got to get out and look at it, because as soon as we purchase it, we can apply for reimbursement to this grant.
And once you bag this material, does it need special storage?
Special storage, not that I'm aware of.
They can stay out just like a raw pile?
Yeah, just like you would at Herzog's or like they do at Lowe's, everything's outside at Lowe's. The one thing I am gonna have to do research on, I mean, the bagging machine is pretty straightforward. I understand what I want and what I don't want, and Charlie understands the same. I understand the mechanics of it. The one thing I am gonna need assistance with, because it's something I've never done, is the printing and the labels on the bag is in the UPC code and that sort of thing. From the marketing perspective, business side, that I don't know, I've never done it, so I need help on that.
We haven't really looked into that, but we're gonna need pallets, to put the bags on, and then a marketing program. Tractor Supply is interested in, selling our product, and maybe Adams predicated on what it looks like
Oh.
and how easy it is to handle and so forth.
Right.
So, there are quite a few possibilities,
Oh, good.
And I don't think we talked about, hiring any additional people. It's just utilizing the current workforce and to move people around,
So we
so.
do our compost. When we got our compost operation going, we started off in 2012 with 39 tons of food waste coming in, and last year we did 2,900 tons, right? No, almost 3,100 tons, and we had the same people. We didn't hire anybody additional. So sometimes you just got to make a choice on what's more important today than other things.
Yeah, certain times of the year are going to be more busy than other times.
And I'd like to sell it up here at the office too, Adams as well, Herzog's hopefully. But, you know, we sell the compost bins here, we get probably a dozen people a day for electronics. We get a lot of traffic in here just from electronics, so if we can have pallets up here and sell it right here. What it'll make it easy for, it'll be very easy for the general public to buy it by the bag, 10-pound bags or 15-bag bags, rather than right now, the only way we can sell is in bulk. So if you don't have a pickup truck, you can't, it's hard for us to get rid of it.
I did look into some, because Tim had asked me to, and I was gonna work a little bit with Merlin, but I did look into some bar scanning with software and stuff, and I briefed Tim the graph on it briefly. So it's available, it's just what type of system we want. So there is bar scanners and software for that.
I did get a phone call on Monday from a resident of the county that wanted some of our composting, and when he came out to buy it, it was all gone.
Yes.
And he complained that we were selling such large quantities to landscapers and so forth, and we weren't taking into consideration the local residents that came in and would want maybe a pickup truck load or so. I said, well, you know, we advertised, you have to get out there, and we only, you know, have a limited amount of composting, and when it's gone, it's gone. And, you know, we don't discriminate who we're gonna sell it to.
Here's the thing, we have a deadline on when that compost has to be done. They give us 4 years, we've never exceeded those 4 years, but, you know, when we have a lot of compost out there, you know, we look for those big haulers, so we can't say, at this time, you can't come get it.
Right.
But then when we need you to come get it, because the small guys aren't taking enough, you know, we can't, so we just.
First come, first served.
Yeah, really, that's how we do it.
Oh, that's why I told this guy to call me, I said, you need to get out there early, and, you know, and get it.
I did error this year, and I made we had our spring sale this year, and I made it for 2 months, for the months of April and May. Knowing what I know now, next year, when I approach the board, I'm gonna ask just for April, because we lasted all through April, we ran out just at the end of April this year. And the sale was still scheduled to go further through the month of May, so we were still producing it during May, but as soon as we produced it, we sold it. So what happens is we produce it all during the winters, we have this massive stockpile, and which I thought would take probably 2 months to get rid of. But I was off on that. It took 1 month to get rid of. So next year, we're gonna do the month of
But
April.
it's brand new.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Right.
marketing.
And the product is so good that everybody wants it.
Everybody
Yeah.
wants it.
You
I
know,
hear a lot
absolutely.
of, we get a lot of compliments here on
Yeah.
this material, so.
And when Tim did the 2 months, in his defense, but nobody could guess, in 1 week, we're gonna sell 400 tons.
Right.
So that very first week, we sold like 400 tons. So
I know
nobody
that.
could guess that.
And we lasted right to the end of April. And I was thinking to myself, God, if I just made it for the month of April, it would have been perfect. Everybody would have been happy. You know, the sale would have been off. But
Yeah, I came that last week and it was gone.
yeah, that's about when we ran out, right towards the end of April.
First come, first served.
So when do,
Even for board members.
yeah. When would you like to get this operation, bagging operation in place? What's your projection?
I'd like to do it by the end of the summer. I don't know how long it takes to order one of these machines. I mean, I can imagine they're probably off the shelf. It's not like, we just received our new excavator last Friday that we approved for 5 months ago. The board approved the sale, because it take them that long to build it. You know, these machines don't take that long. I imagine they're probably right off the shelf. So I imagine it's probably as soon as we order it, I would assume we would get it within weeks.
Good.
What's that? Do you know?
I think it's gonna be about a couple of months.
Think it take-
Yeah, I think so, but I didn't talk to Scott about it, but, you know, it's just the equipment for some reason has been, you know, everything's just selling so quick. I mean, you can't get a roll-off truck right now. It's just. I
Yeah,
don't
the
know,
roll-off
it's
truck would
economy,
be-
what's, you know, even the forklift, you know, it's taken a long time to get that. And so if I were to guess, I would say probably about 2 months.
Well, if that's the
You know, is
case.
this a portable machine?
Yeah.
Okay, so you bag outside and you store the machine inside, is that?
You can leave the machine out all,
can?
in the weather all winter.
Oh.
I'd like to be able to store it inside, but you can leave it outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're gonna try to make sure it's as manual as you can get, just like the screener, which was one of the best things we ever purchased.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's sad that we haven't had the ability to corral all of the restaurants' food, because there are a number of restaurants out there. We wouldn't be talking about a shortage of compost.
Well, as of yesterday, just so you know, as of yesterday, we are 20, so when Tim did this report, this is for the MMA. As of yesterday, I looked at it and we were 20 tons ahead on food waste year to date from last year.
We're also permitted for a certain amount, aren't we, by
2,500.
DEC that we can't exceed?
Right.
So we're not short. We sold, which is a good
Yeah, I'm
thing,
saying it's
but
good.
we couldn't, we were only allowed to have so much.
Well, we have so much, we only have a limited amount of area
Right.
out there until we expand, the composting operation. So, I mean, we're really limited by this.
We are, Tim, I'll say it again, Tim made a statement that, go to another box back there, he's right. It's tight. And right now, we got all the blowers, we're filled right now with all the blowers, so.
Right, so.
We're storing food waste as soon as
Well,
30 days is up, yeah, and we'll start the zone again. Take stuff off and then let it sit for 30 days.
So we have to be careful about wanting more than we can process. Get rid of.
Yeah, even the regulatory requirements aside, the permit limitations, even putting those aside operationally, we're tight.
Yeah.
Because you gotta remember, you don't wanna turn anybody away, because in this business, when you turn somebody away, if they don't have the faith that you're gonna be able to take them and you make them leave with it, they're not gonna come back.
Right.
No, they won't. So they gotta change their routes around, and that's a real.
So we try not to turn anybody away.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Recycling commodities. Okay. You'll see what you'll see what we sold to whom. If you look at the lower half of the page. The upper half of the page is the prices we got from the various brokers. Let's see, single stream, Republic is RE Community. 56.18 a ton, subject to change. It does change occasionally. No loads to All American, that's down in Jersey. Any questions on that? And this is for May, obviously. June, we're at 61 and change.
How the values are holding up for dual stream?
Most of the dual stream is holding its own. Paper has dropped.
Okay,
But other than the paper, most of it's holding its own.
so it's still a good market for dual stream.
Yep. And the important thing now is that we're getting paid for it, but also we're moving it.
Right.
Where the single stream is happening in various areas of the country, like in Massachusetts right next door, is the markets have stopped and they're moving it. They're producing it, but it's sitting in bales. I ran into somebody not too long ago who were asking if I'd seen an article or a video on the waste management facility out in the Midwest and all their recycling out in the parking lots. I haven't seen that. He said, you should look it up, and I should have. I haven't done it yet. He said he saw it, and he said there's a recycling facility for single stream, and they have 4 acres of bales of cardboard, and they can't get rid of it. I said, really? I said, I gotta look this up. He just told me it was in the Midwest, so I don't know where, but I gotta Google that and take a look.
There was an article on the news about last week. Vietnam is really, on the verge of not accepting any more garbage because they're just filling up. Since China isn't taking it, they were reshipping it to Vietnam,
Right.
and they're at a crux. They don't know what to do.
And the limited amount that they can process, they're cleaning it up in Vietnam, and then the Vietnamese are selling it into China once it's clean.
So the Chinese are using Vietnamese for cheap labor?
Yeah.
Essentially what's happening.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the.
So moved.
Motion made by Charlie, second by Brian. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, leachate. This one's pretty straightforward, I think. May of last year, for Ulster, we generated 146,000 gallons. This year we did 70. The May of last year for New Paltz, we did 141. This year we were up to 160. And again, I think I say this probably every month, but the geology of both these landfills is completely different. So that's why you see the numbers all over the board. One may be up and the other may be down. See, I think that's it. Any questions on the rest of it? No. Really, Dr. Ross,
Okay.
So, just a reminder, we have a few more weeks. We have our next HHW, July 21st in New Paltz. As of Monday morning, we had 225 appointments, which is actually up from that point last year. So it means the word's getting out, that's good. We're also gonna be taking cacao to that event, and doing our 20% off sale on our compost bins. Public outreach, Lynn and I went to Bennett Elementary on June 1st. We had some more materials, donated materials. We did another upcycling project. This time we had some CD fuel cases, and we had them make just, picture frames and that sort of thing, and I really enjoyed it. The hands-on seems to go over really well with the teachers and the students. And like to mention earlier today, we were at the Green Business Challenge launch. They're encouraging Ulster County businesses to kind of reduce their greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate climate change, and hopefully see some monetary savings. It's a project of the Ulster County Climate Smart Committee, and it's sponsored by Mike Hine and the Department of Environment and Economic Development. We're assisting with the food-based composting portion of the challenge. I did 3 facility tours this month, and I actually gave a presentation over at Woodland Ponds in New Paltz. It's an assisted living community, and they're actually redesigning their garbage and recycling operations. They're going to be moving from single stream back to dual stream. So I gave them presentations, some recycling brochures, information about medication disposal and our HHW flyer, and answered the questions of the residents. I also told them that if they need any assistance in the process of transitioning, that we're here to help. I can come do a second presentation.
Marilyn, did they say why they're transitioning from single stream to dual stream?
Their hauler is going to stop accepting single stream.
Their hauler is going to stop
That's what I
accepting
was
single
told
stream.
by
You know
them.
who that is?
I believe it was based on Michigan.
Wow, interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
That they've been told that as of January 1st.
Is this requiring them to have like more bins or different color bins? or change
They
their
already had like one bin, so now they're just gonna be adding, gonna keep that current bin and make it be the containers, and they're adding one more bin for their paper. But they do composting there as well through Community Compost Company. They've been doing that for a while. They're just, making this switch now, and they wanted to make sure the residents understood the whole process, and there was lots of questions about what was acceptable and not acceptable, and one person actually said, she goes, "Well, it doesn't sound as complicated as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like all these containers for me to like put stuff in," and they're like, "No, it's going to go from 1 to 2. So, but yeah, they're trying to do it now so that come January 1st, they're prepared.
That's when waste management is set up as a switchover date?
Yeah. And also, a side note, we now have our own custom tablecloth for events. We used it today. It has our name and logo on it, and some pictures of our facility on the sides, so.
Any pictures of the board members?
No pictures. We've got like the picture of the train station, and we got the truck, we've got compost on there.
Charlie's volunteering.
We could have a picture with Troy Lander, like this picture compost bin.
Fred wants to know, are they using UCRRA blue?
No, we did the green. We did the
Green, thank you.
We did green. It's a dark green background.
Fred's breathing easy.
Charlie's got the color he wearing the colors today.
It looks really good. And as far as our compost, there wasn't enough for me. I went down this Monday and I grabbed our composite sample, sent that off to the lab, so that'll be in a couple of weeks. I should have the results.
Now, what do you take off DEC?
One gets sent off to Penn State agricultural lab, and then I take one down to a viral test in Newburgh.
Oh, okay. Okay, treasurer's report.
I'll do it.
Sketch right up to the plate, quick to volunteer.
Month of May, we did 12,230 tons. If you look on the revenue line, leachate, hauling, and box rental, you see it's higher than we've had in other months. It's almost 24,000. That relates to, we had a heavy month with regards to the boxes we're pulling from the BRC. So our total revenues for the month were $1,469,443. Now on the expense side, you see our recycling disposal costs were $40,433 for the month. No other items of note. Total operating expenses were $1,065,387, giving us net operating revenues for the month of $404,056. We had capital outlay of $55,390, which was for the roll-off boxes that we purchased, giving us a fund balance for the month of a positive $348,666. And our year-to-date fund balance is at a negative $862,150. One of the items I did look at and analyze this month is that we're up about 8% compared to budget, which is good because our garbage is helping to offset the problems that we're having on the recycling end. It actually comes in within about $2,000 to $3,000 a month. So I think it's helping to, as far as the, meeting our budget, it's helping to mask the issues that we're having in recycling because garbage is up. So it's helping from the bottom line standpoint. Any questions?
I'll entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Made by Charlie, seconded by Jack. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
The MERF cost center analysis, this is pretty straightforward. It's really right in line with the rest of the months. Recycling tipping fees for the month, $11,505. Sale of recyclable, $13,037. And as I said, our single stream disposal for the month was $40,433. Second page, total expenses came to $29,686 for a net loss for the month of $45,688 and a year-to-date net loss of $192,113.
I know.
Nature of the beast.
Okay, thank you. All right, resolutions. Executive Director.
Okay, resolution 2445, authorizing and approving the agency to discontinue service in single-stream recyclables. We're open for discussion.
Any questions on the resolution? I'll so move the resolution.
So moved.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, moved by Charlie, second by?
Second.
Second by Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Resolution 2446.
Authorizing and approving the modification of the 2018 tipping fees and other charges. This one I'll explain a little further. As you may recall, the resolution is, as written, will increase the tipping fees as so stated in the resolve at the very bottom of the page. You want to read that?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
Let me just, can I,
Oh, sure.
as of yesterday, we calculated how much it has cost the agency. And as of yesterday, we've had a net loss of $156,371 for what's costing us with single stream. Now, if you think about, we're gonna go to the end of December, we're looking at over $300,000 loss, processing of single stream and so forth. So it's, we just cannot afford to, put that kind of burden on the rest of the towns that do business with us. I mean, we're subsidizing the other 16 towns. Right now, we're subsidizing the single stream operation. The town of Ulster is going to go back to dual stream as of August the 1st. Saugerties has discussions about buying containers, and they're going to, from what I understand, go to dual stream. And I heard through the grapevine that the SUNY New Falls, the university, is thinking about going away from single stream and going back to dual stream. So, we just can't afford to operate with the single stream. It's just too expensive, and there's no place to go with it.
I think it's unethical for us to subsidize both public entities and private entities with the funds of the people we're contracted with. We're not contracted to accept single stream. We are contracted to service the solid waste of the different townships that we do. And those funds are now being diverted to subsidies. And that's not right.
And we're starting the budget process now, so, we have to take action now in order to finalize and generate and finalize our budget for 2019.
Fred, that this report shows from January 1 to June 26th, but the first couple months really were not that expensive to us.
Right.
It started to snowball around April.
Right.
So the 156,000 really is more reflective of, say,
2 months.
2 months, right?
Yeah, that number is as of yesterday.
Yes, and
Right.
and it's more reflective of only 2 months, not
Yeah.
a whole 6
Oh,
months.
yeah, right.
And we don't know where this is
Right.
going. And Vietnam's not gonna probably stop.
In that vein, yeah, I mean, I've been calculating sort of what the numbers, the full numbers would be like for May. We lost $40,000 plus in May. So of the 156 that we've lost for the year, 40,000 was in May.
Yeah, third.
And also in addition, what we're seeing is that the prices are getting higher to dispose of it, so we can probably anticipate that the future months are going to be even more expensive.
Even more expensive, that was my
So,
point, yeah.
I'm not sure how you, the 300,000 that you calculated was just a straight line out from here.
Yeah,
It
I'm
probably
just
is-
doubling the number that was generated yesterday.
Well, it's probably.
It could be
gonna-
400,000.
It's probably gonna be
Easily.
worse, and of course it may collapse, which we don't know when or if that's gonna happen, but there's certainly no indication in the data that it's outside the realm of possibility
Correct.
for it to collapse, and in which case the cost would just become.
This is all moot at that point.
I'd also point out what other folks have, even to the extent that, I mean, I do agree with Jack, but to the extent that some people are sympathetic to the problems of, municipal budgeting, particularly for the city of Kingston, it's fair to point out that however much we're losing on a monthly basis or whatever, the loss to Kingston, or our subsidy to Kingston is less than 40% of that. So for example, if we're spending an extra $40,000 a month in May, the benefit to Kingston is only about $16,000 worth of that, a little bit less. The other 24 is going to other folks who primarily private industry, obviously private industry. And so, to the extent that we are concerned about the budgeting for municipal agencies, we really are better off raising our prices and letting those municipalities that want to keep doing this figure out how to deal with it, because otherwise, the county itself is losing a lot of money to entities other than municipalities. And so there's very, very little justification for this agency continuing to bear those losses.
No, I agree. Well, Town of Ulster, now they passed their resolution, didn't they do?
I didn't even think they did a
They
resolution.
didn't do a
Just did-
resolution. The supervisor and the town board just decided to end single stream, and as of August 1st, they're going back to a dual stream operation.
Same with Saugerties, they already purchased the trucks to do it.
They did.
Yep, they're ready.
Okay.
And actually, the next resolution on the docket is for the Saugerties to purchase one of our old containers.
Oh, okay.
One of our old 40-yard containers.
Well, this is interesting, thanks for putting that together.
You wanna move this?
I want to just make one other final comment. This relates more to the prior resolution than this one, but I think it's important to say it here. I think a lot of the public already understands this because we've had several meetings now, and the board has done, I think, good work in reaching out to the public. But what's very important for the public to understand is that when we do these resolutions, we're not setting mandatory policy for the whole county. It's essentially what we would accept at our facility. There is no requirement in this county that people bring recyclables, municipalities or private holders, bring them here. They're free to operate in the same market that we are. And furthermore, we actually don't process this material. We just simply provide a space for temporary storage until it's hauled out. We're essentially just a waste station for it. And so the resolutions that we passed today are only for our own operations, and any other municipality or haulers that continue to believe in this product can continue to use it, and they just operate in the same market that we do. So to the extent that people were looking at what we're doing as somewhat apocalyptic and mandating things precipitously, we're just really describing what happens in our facility, and the people who are using our facility are free to turn their trucks around and take it to whoever they think would be accepting ours.
That's all very true.
So,
And it's
Well, that's a good point. No, that's
I think-
an excellent point that you're making, because the municipalities can do business wherever they want in a recycling market.
And nothing in our resolution in any way affects that.
Absolutely.
It's just a question
Yeah,
of how
we
we
just
handle
can't function here handling that type of material.
and risking those losses on other people.
And we really were never set up to do that.
No, we're not.
Anyway,
No.
from the very beginning.
We're a dual stream facility,
Right.
and this is single stream, and all we're doing is providing a press on the floor.
And that's a very good point. The MRF, our material recovery facility, was never designed to accept single stream. It was always designed, had it been designed, you'd have a situation where you'd have the truck at a lower elevation, the excavator at a higher elevation, so you're loading down instead of trying to reach up. Right now, we're at the same elevation, so then the excavator has to try to reach up into the trailer and try to load it that way. So it takes approximately doubles the time it takes to load a trailer, and if the trailer's down lower. So from an engineering perspective, you want it designed a different way. So that's a good point, Brian. You're absolutely right.
And the other point is, we really did a disservice because we're using our floor space for the single stream where we could be storing the commodities that we could sell on the recyclable market. And we really do need that space, you know, the availability of that space. Right, Charlie?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That space is very limited.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is, if you want us to be able to store the materials when the markets are down, we won't ship material out, whether it be cardboard or whether it be paper. You want to be able to have that floor space to warehouse it, and that's normal. That's how a MRF is supposed to work. Where you have enough warehouse space where you can store the material, when the markets go up, then you make a decision to start shipping. So that additional space would be advantageous to us.
So the notifications to those users of this particular aspect, Kingston and the private haulers, we'll be sending notifications after this resolution?
Tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Yeah, a letter will be going out tomorrow morning to all the users of the system. There's a total of, since January 1, and I can't tell you if they've been here once or if they've been here 50 times, there's been about 15 people that have utilized 15 haulers, businesses, or municipalities that have utilized this single stream facility. And they come at all different times. So we went back through our records, we figured out who has brought us the materials, about 15, so there'll be 15 letters going out tomorrow.
And then we should make probably a public notice.
We can put it on our website, if you like.
We'll have the public notice shortly.
But I believe that we should have a public notice.
Well, it's going on the website, Jack. I think that essentially is public notice.
And Tim's going to notify all the users.
Well, is it, council?
Yes.
That our website posting qualifies as public notice?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to pay for an ad or anything, no, that's public
What's the ad
notice.
cost, $10?
Well, we have,
You put an ad in like that, it's public notice, it's on record that we put it in a newspaper in the area that services our, we do that all the time in local government.
You can do it, but it's not required.
Well, we have the press here, I'm sure that
Yeah.
we'll be on the front page.
We've done a lot of things that
Or
are not
page 3
required.
anyhow.
yeah.
I was gonna write about eating food earlier.
Okay.
At 11:30.
Yeah.
Come around. Okay,
Mr.
well,
Chairman, before we vote, I just want to make clear, in terms of public notice to the public people that are listening, what this resolution does. We are adjusting our price on a variable basis. This price is volatile. It's likely to go, the price of disposal is likely to go up in the future. And what we will do is adjust it on a monthly basis in order to reflect our out-of-pocket cost to dispose of it, plus our in-house cost of handling it.
And that's going to be based on the average from the previous month.
Right. And we're now up to about $51 a ton from
61.
61
61 now.
in June.
Our desk or your desk?
And plus the $15 loading fee.
So,
Which does-
just because the out-of-pocket costs were $51 in May and $61 in June, so the June numbers are gonna be even more of a loss than we had in May. And we're gonna add about $15 for our own in-house costs for the trucks. and
Really
everything.
$76 a ton.
Right.
And that's for June.
Yes.
And then so,
What this resolution doesn't include, it includes our cost for actually loading material on a trailer. It doesn't include if we have to use our own trailers, which we have to do occasionally. But that's, we'll have to keep that.
The point for the public is that we're gonna be simply processing the costs through, and it's gonna be, the public is going to have to face, as we do, the difficulty with this market and the costs on a month-to-month basis.
This is becoming solid waste.
That may be an issue for another day, yes. It's clearly a product which is not holding its own. In fact, at this point now, it costs us more to dispose of it as single stream than it does as solid waste,
That's true.
which is a
And
very
this does
sobering.
not reflect our cost in trucking.
That's
If
correct.
we use our own trucks, and we could use up to 2 to 3 trucks per day.
That's correct.
So that is not reflected in this cost. So it is still gonna cost the agency
Money.
money.
$20 a ton or something, Tim,
Yeah.
if you're right, Tim?
17, I think we come up
Yeah,
with.
it was closer to 16.
So, and that's hit or miss, you know, we'll go several days and
Right.
the trucks are coming, and then one day where we can't get any trucks, we have to use our own trucks. So that we play that on a daily, day-by-day basis.
We did invest into the roll tarps, so everything's safe.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, we're not gonna rent trucks, so we're gonna use our own in-house vehicles, right?
Our own employees, our own tractors, and our own trailers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, motion made by
Motion.
Charlie.
Go ahead.
Right?
Motion to accept
Second.
resolution
Okay,
2446.
motion made by Charlie, seconded by Jack. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
And just to throw out a real quick number for the board, about 80% of the single stream that comes into the facility is between Welsh, the hauler, and the city of Kingston. The remaining 20% is another dozen or so, 12 or 13 users of the system, which are much smaller. A couple of municipalities and some small haulers, a couple of some businesses. So, but that's where 80% is between those two.
Okay. Resolution 2447.
Okay, 2447, as I just mentioned, this is authorizing the approval, authorizing and approving the sale of 1 cubic yard open roll-off box. The town of Saugerties contacted us, asked if we had any boxes, used boxes that we can get rid of. So Charlie, I looked through, we did a pretty good job, as you know, we bought 82 new recycling boxes, and we've been selling lots of 10 to get rid of the old boxes that are extremely damaged and so forth. We've pretty much culled all those old boxes out of our inventory. So when Saugerties called us, Charlie said he had to go back and look to see what we had. And again, we've got boxes out in all the municipalities. But we did find one that you know, I think we're willing to get rid of. It's you know, not in the best condition, but the town says that they would like to have it anyway. So the price we came up with was $1,279, which, just to refresh your memory, we sold one to the town of Saugerties back in, I think it was December. The board authorized it. I think I'm correct, in December. This is the same dollar figure that we're using here. That's
How did you arrive at that figure?
We actually took, the last time that all the boxes went out to bid, we figured out the average price that they came in, that bids reflected. You know, there were lots of 10. So we figured out, you know, the average price we got for 10 boxes was obviously $12,790. So it came out to $1,279 a box. So that's how we came up with that number initially in December. And I just rolled that number over because we haven't gone out to bid with any other boxes since then. So, and then the town was agreeable to it. So I said, well, I'm okay with it as long as the board is okay with it.
It's one of our old blue boxes, right?
Yeah, yeah. If it was a green one, I knew it wasn't a go. It had to be blue.
Why don't you have Charlie paint these boxes?
It's another $200.
Yeah, no, slowly we're getting rid of the blue.
Actually, if we wanted to repaint them, I would suggest something other than green. The reason is, we ordered all the green boxes under a grant.
Yeah.
We specifically made them, they're actually John Deere green.
Oh.
We actually made them all green because under this grant, the boxes can only be used for recycling. So to differentiate between the grant boxes and the garbage boxes, we ordered them in green. So we know that we cannot put any garbage in any green box because we don't want to jeopardize that grant. So the garbage boxes, you can paint them brown, purple. Okay. As long as they're not green, because that would get confusing.
Maybe we'll get a nice earth tone for Gus,
There you go.
if that comes to fruition.
All right.
Move it.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Made by Jack, seconded by Brian. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carried unanimously. Okay, do we have any old business?
Just a quick mention, the field depot that the board authorized, the award of the bid last month, maybe it's been 2 months now. We expect that to be starting soon. When we authorized the bid to the vendor that the board awarded it to, they said it would take about 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks to get all the materials in, and it's been about 5 weeks, so I expect to be hearing from them pretty soon on when they're going to start. So hopefully, I'm anxious to get this done. Those fuel pumps are antiquated, they're falling apart, we need to get it in. That's a link in the chain that I don't want broken, because that could cripple us. Worst comes to worst, but we have an agreement with Heritage Energy, where if these pumps do go down, and they have gone down in the past, that we can send trucks over to Heritage Energy and fuel up directly over there, but it is a pain in the neck. So I'm really looking forward to getting this done. I know Charlie's looking forward to getting it done from an operational standpoint, and Tim is looking forward to getting it done from a control standpoint, because we're going to have better controls on who's taking fuel and so forth, because we're going to upgrade the software and so forth. So hopefully that's going to start soon. Any old business? Gus, when you mentioned Gus, Rick McCarthy's working on the financial feasibility study. That's in the works right now. Last I spoke to Rick was about a week ago, and he'd already been in contact and visited Greene County, and he was going to be reaching out to Sullivan County.
And they passed the allocation for the study?
In which,
Sullivan.
did.
Yes, so all 3 counties are on board, and the financial study is moving ahead for Gus.
I haven't received the check from any of the 3 counties, but as soon as I do, I'll let you know.
Okay.
It's 15,000 and change. I don't remember the exact number, but anything I'm missing, Charlie, in an old business?
You mentioned the excavator, we got that.
You got the excavator?
Forklift is due by the end of June, so I would suspect next board meeting you might receive that. Other than that, no.
Okay.
Okay, any new business?
I was contacted by the City of Rensselaer Planning Commission, because that's the location of the proposed bio-high-tech facility. Bio-high-tech is the American developer for Insorga. And as we discussed, I think last time, there's a proposed facility right there in their industrial park in their waterfront. It's coming before the Planning Commission now. And Dennis Soriano had recommended me to them, because I had reviewed their facilities in Europe last year. And I had a very long conversation with several members on the Planning Commission, about 2 hours. And they're beginning their process of reviewing it, and they have some issues that we don't have, because it's located basically right in the heart of their city, so they're very concerned about land use issues. If we were to have a similar facility, it'd be a little bit more remote. But they're also looking into issues relating to bio-high-tech and the capitalization of bio-high-tech, looking at it as sort of almost like a startup, and whether they would, their relationship with Insorga, and whether, to what extent they could be relied on to carry through the Insorga business model and technical issues. They're also looking at one other thing that we probably ought to be concerned about as well, to the extent that we go forward with looking at bio-high-tech. They're taking a very hard look at the use of the waste, the use of the product, in particular at the cement operation in Ravenna. As some folks may be aware, a few months ago there was a bit of a protest, because there was a proposal coming out of Connecticut. I think there was some facility in Connecticut that was losing its outlets, and they were going to be bringing some solid waste, not processed solid waste, but solid waste over to Ravenna to burn in that kiln. And there was a lot of protests, and they ended up denying that that proposal was withdrawn. And in Rensselaer, they're looking at whether or not this is essentially going to be a viable solution to take this product and to burn it in the cement kiln. I had been presuming that level of combustion was a reasonable replacement for burning coal on a BTU for BTU basis or a pound for pound basis. Burning, there's obviously a very, very significant amount of air pollution control equipment on that facility, and coal as an environmental fuel, is not an environmental bargain by any sense of the word. It's got a lot of pollutants in it, and these precipitators exist to handle those pollutants. And I was not under the impression that the dried municipal solid waste would be any more of a burden on the environment than the coal would have been on a BTU basis. But clearly, the folks up in Ravenna felt differently, and in Albany felt differently, and therefore the transportation of the solid waste from Connecticut was withdrawn. And so the question of the viability of the model is it's being brought into question, and they're very concerned about that up in Rensselaer. And that's just a summary.
Dave, knowing a little something about cement kilns and the temperatures that they operate at, that's been tried before. There was a cement plant right here in Kingston, and one of the problems is temperature fluctuation, because those kilns are cooking stone. They're turning it into clinker, okay? And it requires 2,100 degrees constant. And if you put anything other than fuel oil or natural gas or coal in that gun, and the temperature fluctuates, the stone doesn't cook, okay? And so it's a waste of effort. I know that from my own experience. You know the Watzkers and the Polacos that work down at those cement plants. So temperature fluctuation, because of the whatever garbage burns at, they're looking for 2,100 degrees to cook the cement, to cook the stone. And if you add something that doesn't burn at that temperature, the stone doesn't cook. So I can see how that model is in trouble.
Well, the concern over the use of the product was actually coming from the community, the broad community, from Ravenna, including Albany, and some people in Albany, and not from the actual
cement plant.
Yeah, I think on the industry side it was probably fine, but but clearly this had a level of concern. We haven't talked to Dennis about it at all, and whether that would affect their proposal, because they're also moving ahead with the plant in New Windsor as well. So I just wanted to let the board. I really just wanted to let the board know, first of all, that I had this conversation with the Planning Commission in Rensselaer, and these issues are now very much coming into scrutiny. They're going to be looking at a seeker process probably later on this year, and obviously our own proposals are still very much up in the air, and I told them they were probably going to come in before us. We were going to have a lot of interest in what they were doing, let's put it that way. But I just wanted to let the board know that conversation took place, and then maybe further conversations.
Now, are they letting them to locate that close to the river?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right on the, well, I assume it's
Yeah, it's right,
within,
that park is right on the river.
the industrial park is more or less on the river.
Right.
And I basically told them that as opposed to us, they would have locational issues with respect to the river, particularly things like just visual issues and things like that. And they were saying that, they basically said, look, this was an old industrial park, so whatever visual issues occurred were, dealt with.
I mean, we have 300 acres in East Kingston. It's just been sitting there for 4 years.
I'm not surprised that there are concerns about the UCRRA modality. And I would be interested, it's great that they're gonna go through a seeker, but I think that's
Well, they have to, yeah.
very important. And
Yeah.
to get the, some statistical analysis like emissions and products of combustion. In my experience with the health department, knowing what comes out of the top of that stack, I'm not surprised there's concerns by the public, especially those on the leeward side of the river or something. So,
Do you have a sense that burning MSW is going to be more impacting than burning coal?
I think there are different concerns. With regard to BTUs, I think you're going to get far more efficiency out of coal. But I think there are also concerns with products of combustion with that kind of material. We didn't see the scientific analysis of what those products of combustion are, and I'd be curious to see what those are. That being said, though, you know, along with new business, at the last meeting, at the public hearing, you know, and there were some concerns by Mayor Noble and also by Manager Green about our responsibilities to the public for handling waste stream, and then some suggestions that an oversight committee in the legislature be formed again, reformed, to oversee what's going on. And knowing also that we have not yet seen the report from the environmental committee out of the legislature.
Improvement Commission.
And you know, I think that we have to start focusing, part of our meetings is going to have to look at these different mechanisms, modalities, and how we're going to move forward for the next 5 years. Gus aside, okay? We know there are going to be issues in 5 years at some of our receiving sites that are going to create many more problems than this single stream issue has created. If they start shutting down our receiving sites for general waste, it's going to be a huge problem. So we really need to start focusing in on modalities like UCRRA or other types of modalities that can handle waste stream, you know? And I think we need to start partnering, or at least asking the legislature to give us their report. What are their findings? where do they want to go with this? You know, they were supposed to be giving us a report now. This is my 3rd year, going into my 3rd year, and I remember hearing about it when I started. It's been a while to get a report.
I think it has ceased to exist.
Well, so is the legislature concerned enough that they want to reform an oversight committee about where we're going? Are they concerned about, are they aware of where the waste stream is going in the next 5 years? Or is it going to be once again, where we just react to a critical incident 5 years from now, and then we're in reactive mode, not proactive mode, you know? So I really think we need to start bringing this as an agenda item for discussion, where we're going, where we want to go, what are the new modalities that can be studied and used, what are the other communities, governments doing, what is the federal government doing? And we just really need to start focusing in on it. Ignoring it is not the answer. 5 years is not a long time. I've been here 3 years. So we've heard that, you know, the Seneca could be closing down their sites, right? They might be having an issue.
Their permit is up January of 2025.
Yeah. You know, it's not that far. That's my point. It's not that far, you know,
And Albany's gonna close down next year, like 2019, right?
They're gonna try to stretch it to 20, I think.
Are they? Okay.
They're taking it less
But
waste.
no, we'll try and strike these right on the money, because we need to find solutions, and I'm not sure where they are. I mean, we need to look.
Well, don't you think what we're doing with Gus addresses a lot of that?
Oh, yeah, oh, absolutely, Jack, but landfill is not the answer, in my estimation, unless you can find some place where you're gonna.
Do you expect to find one answer, or do you
Oh, no, I
maybe
think
we're gonna have multiple?
I think we're gonna have multiple
Yeah.
answers.
and that's what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
let's look at all the different modalities that are out there. There are more than one.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know, we've looked at UCRRA. Dave's done a great job looking into this and being proactive in that. You know, we could look at gas generation. There's many things we could do.
I mean, I would like to go up there and look at that plant in Canada, to be honest, and just see, is it a viable process? Can you really create the ethanol? If they're shipping it to Europe, it must be a viable
It
product.
can absolutely be done.
So, yeah,
And it really is gonna come down to money, you know, always.
you know.
But if we wait, we are just going to be reactive in a critical period.
I mean, people talk about incineration now. I can remember in 1980, the county ran a bus trip down to Peekskill to look at that burn unit. And, you know, talking about, you know,